Make games. Drink coffee.
Hey, good morning. I'm Aaron, and this is Make Games, Drink Coffee, a podcast featuring conversations with game developers about their jobs, their hobbies, and whatever they're passionate about. No rambling 2-hour interviews and no meandering monologues about whatever game I played this week. I'll try to keep it short and sweet, 30 minutes or less, with bonus clips on the Make Games, Drink Coffee YouTube channel, TikTok, etc. All right, enough of that. Grab your hot mug or your cold cup, and let's get to this week's interview. Today's guest is legendary pixel artist Christina-Antoinette Neofotistou, also known as castpixel. Welcome to Make Games, Drink Coffee. Christina, it is really, really cool to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here. Hi, I'm Christina. I'm an illustrator. I've been doing it professionally since 2002 or 3, maybe. I've been working as a professional game artist since 2009. And I've done a bunch of things. I've worked for Minecraft at Mojang and also done a bunch of art for other games.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about looking through your ArtStation is I saw you had some early it's digital painting, but it's sort of in the style of surrealism. There was like clear Salvador Dali commentary and a really cool one with a guy wearing a tie that becomes a fish. I love art like that. And I just wanted to ask, how does that fit into your sort of timeline as an artist? Because right now you specialize in pixel art. So I'm wondering, either you went from point A to point B, or you've just always been interested in both of these things and you decided to specialize in one professionally.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So when I was 20 and started like doing art for real, I was like super into Salvador Dali and read his autobiography and was all sorts of into surrealism. And the thing that that was made clear to me as I studied those kinds of stuff is if you want to have people look at your art and I don't know, like your art stays with them, it has to be like technically proficient and shocking or otherwise, I don't know, affect them like somehow. So I decided I'm going to be so good at rendering, like doing realistic, like light, shadow, anatomy, proportions, and stuff. I'm gonna be so good that people cannot ignore my illustrations, and that was the whole like point to it. So anyway, that's how I started off. I wanted to be like real good at rendering realism and having obviously some surrealist like ideas here and there, like the necktie that becomes a fish. I was trying to say I hate formal like attire.
Yeah, I love
When
that.
I used to have to wear a tie because I'm transhuman, so I started off like having to dress in a male way. Now when I dress in a tie, it's because I'm a big old dyke, so it's also appropriate.
So it's your own context. You're like, this, I'm doing this on purpose now, not because society is saying that I have to. Which
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it
like
way cooler.
I was studying to be a doctor, and they were really, really strict with men dressing this way and women dressing the other way. And patients were always like doctor to all of the male students and nurse to all the female students. And it was like a huge, ugly mess. Anyhow, so like, yeah, I started with realism first, and realism comes really easy to me because I see a still life or a model I draw from life. So yeah, that's the easy thing. The hard thing that I always wanted to do was do stylized real well, and that was a lot harder. And pixel art is neither here nor there. It's just a medium. It's not an art style.
I do want to get back to that, but I also want to address something really interesting you said about when you were, in your early 20s and you were trying to be noticed as an artist. The idea that it had to be technically proficient, sure, but also shocking and attention grabbing. And to me, I hear there's this sort of like the youthful interpretation of that, which is where the thing that grabs you emotionally is very obvious. And then I would imagine that as you get older, the idea of what is going to grab people gets more broad, and you sort of develop an understanding of really how to speak to people emotionally in a more subtle way that's still very effective. And I'm wondering how you feel like your thinking on that has changed over the years.
Oh yeah, I was definitely like an immature kid. That said, the things I do now, I don't mind what people like think about my artistic like skill, but they do seem to respond more to realism and more to as if it's like harder or cooler, more I don't know, epic or whatever. But like for me, what I want to draw and paint is more emotive, maybe more stylized stuff.
So you mentioned that you started learning art and then you started being a professional game artist years later. So I'm wondering, how did you get into the industry? Did you always want to be in the industry, or did you sort of fall into it? What's the story there?
Right. So I always wanted to be in the industry, in the games industry. I started as an illustrator while I was studying to be a doctor. There is a really, really famous author of kids' books called Eugene Trevisas. He's Greek. And he, like the most famous children's book author in Greece. And he was kind enough to offer me an illustration job when I was like 24, still
Wow.
studying. And I kind of needed it because I knew I had to get out of my hometown and transition and do the whole trans thing, and I needed the money. So since I was already a professional illustrator with high credentials, people knew my work because of that children's author. I went on to do like magazines and advertising agencies, like the biggest like jobs I could find in Greece, and became increasingly well known. But at 29, that was like 2009, chanced upon Dan Cook, who's a great game designer. He owns and directs like Spry Fox, who make
Oh.
Triple Town and a bunch of other games, and he gave me a job doing the entirety of the art for a game called Panda Poet. It was a word game, and when you put in words, they turned into pandas. But because it was a grid, like the bigger the words you use, the bigger the surface you covered, the larger your pandas were. It was like just a cute thing. So I had to make like long pandas and tall pandas and everything in between, fat pandas. Yeah, well, that was my first job, and I took it from there. Like after that, I've had a steady stream of jobs coming in the games industry, and I haven't looked back. I don't think.
That is so cool. I played that game. I remember it.
Really? Oh my God! You remember Panda Poet?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh wow.
Actually, I'm wondering, this popped into my head when you were talking about how naturalistic illustration or realistic illustration came more easily to you than stylized. There's that scale. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the question of like, if someone says visualize an apple and you close your eyes, what do you see? From 1 to 5, 1 being like, I don't see anything, and 5 being, I see like a photograph of an apple. Do you have a very vivid visual imagination?
No, I have what's called aphantasia, like lack of visual imagination. So I close my eyes and I see only black. And people usually say like, close your eyes, imagine the apple and then draw it. And how we work apparently is how I work at least, but also a few others, is I know what an apple looks like when I see it, right? So if I start drawing, I start to make headway into what I want to become an apple. Does that make sense? Like the more I draw, the
Yeah.
more it makes sense to me, and I change it until it's like an apple.
That is so interesting. It's more the method of the joke about how do you carve an elephant out of a block of marble, and it's that you just chisel away anything that doesn't look like an elephant.
Yeah, correct.
I remember reading that one of Disney's sort of most internally famous artists, who I think was one of the lead animators on The Little Mermaid had aphantasia as well. And so there was this, the question of, is there any correlation between are you a good artist and do you have a good visual imagination? And the answer is no, which I think is so fascinating.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I guess like it's all skill. That's why I don't believe in talent. Sure, innate inclination, like interest in drawing and learning more about drawing, sure, but talent, I don't say it.
When I was looking at your pixel art, I noticed a common approach to color, and that all or most of your work has this quality of, I don't want to say washed out. I don't think that's the right word because washed out sounds negative, but it feels like it has this common aesthetic of being a little bit more pastel and using lighter colors. Does that make sense? Is that is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, of course, I can talk about it. I can tell you that I don't think about it. Personal style is not something I think about a lot. I don't think I have one. But also, I remember like older illustrators saying that visuals, like Andrew Loomis, for example, they used to say that visual style is just your personal quirks. So if I consistently like go for a specific color palette, that's a personal quirk. Maybe people can recognize this is my work because of the color palette. Maybe not, but it's not like conscious or anything.
That's really cool. I hope that some people listen to this who are artists trying to find their way and hear that, because I think it's so cool to just say like personal style is kind of just however your brain is wired,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever comes out is fine. And as long as you're really good with the technical fundamentals, then all the other stuff, will kind of work itself out.
Yeah, I mean, beginner artists are very, very preoccupied with personal style. I was too. I find out I didn't have to be. It comes naturally after a while.
Scrolling through your Blue Sky posts late at night as I'm waiting for my daughter to fall asleep, one of
Oh,
the things I noticed was a post about, hold on, I got the name of the game here, Mutant Space Bats of Doom.
oh my God, yeah.
So I saw that and I thought this would be a great opportunity for you to talk about growing up with a different set of games than what I would have grown up with, and what a lot of people who are consuming the mainstream games nowadays would have grown up with. Because I know that in Europe, there's like a whole different set of stuff that people had access to. And I think the sort of further away from the main English speaking countries you get, the weirder and more bootleg the games get. Is that
Yeah, that
more or less
is
accurate?
exactly accurate because Greece may be Europe, but it's not really like it's the Balkans. It's next to Slavic countries. We're like a lot like Slavs in some ways. Next to Turkey, we're a lot like Turks and Muslims and Arabs in general in a bunch of other ways. We were not like a rich country in the 80s when I grew up. And so, like a lot of the games I played were on Commodore 64, which was like a really cheap computer at the time, like really, really well known. We used to pirate like discs, like floppy disk, actual floppy disks, the big ones that were actually floppy, five and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
half
yeah.
inch. Yeah,
Yep, I remember those.
and like we wrote our own games and traded between us, groups of friends, and also sent games and tracker music via snail mail. Like we sent like envelopes, and it had a small floppy inside. Sometimes it came bad. It had bad sectors, and we used, I don't know, Norton Commander to fix it before Norton was like malware. It was actually like useful, like utilities for discs. And yeah, I played Space Bats of Doom. I played everything that came on companion discs on PC, like magazines. So I played every shareware and freeware title and shovelware sometimes, like crappy games. But like those were like kind of precious to us. But I still miss that kind of like magazine culture and game dev culture in Europe where we traded like games on discs or wrote. I don't know if you know, we used to write listings. We used to buy books or magazines and they had games in them, and you would like type them out
Oh
on
yeah,
your
yeah.
computer, like in BASIC or QBasic or whatever. It was really really auspicious and hopeful and a creative time for me at least. And it felt like it felt like that. Like all the magazines and the books about computers had like futuristic covers, and there was a like an optimistic view of the future of what technology is going to bring. And I remember that, like in science fiction books and everything, it used to point to the betterment of humanity and all that stuff.
I do remember a time fondly when we all looked at computer technology and the internet and thought, this is so cool. This is the future. What's going to become of it? And it was when all of these things were still mostly the domain of weird nerds. And I miss those days. I miss the days when the reputation of technology, even among the general public, was, oh, this is cool. This is the future.
Make Games, Drink Coffee is brought to you by me. Yeah, Aaron here. There's no sponsor, I'm just doing this myself. Enjoy the music, I made it to be talked over, just like this. Anyway, I did recently re-upload my political satire idle game Troll Farm to the mobile stores, and I would love for you to play it. It's free, so I won't make any money, but I'm just really proud of it, and I feel like it's extremely relevant now for reasons that will become obvious as soon as you start playing it. Yeah, Troll Farm. Download it. Okay, that's it. Maybe someday there will be a real ad here so I can pay myself for doing this podcast. But that's not the case now. Anyway, back to the interview.
One of the really cool things that you've posted a bunch of times is demake concepts.
Right.
And I love these. And for anyone who doesn't know what I mean, this is when you basically post mock screenshots of a pixel art version of a game that doesn't exist, that's either based on a popular IP or it is a newer game that like didn't exist back when it would have had to be that kind of pixel art. And those are so cool. I think the one that you posted recently of the latest iteration of the Ninja Turtles as a point and click adventure was so cool. I love those character designs anyway, and I feel like the way you presented it was like, I looked at it and I used to play Secret of Monkey Island and Day of the Tentacle and stuff. So I see that and I go, oh man, that would have been so cool. And I'm wondering, have you been contacted by people who are in a position to at least have control over those IPs, those games, those properties, whatever? Have you heard from the people that control those things about those demake concepts that you've posted?
Not the ones I've posted, no, but I've been offered a chance to pitch a 7 Max game, like an official 7 Max game for the Playdate.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's not what I expected. That is cool.
Oh, I also made like I was asked to pitch some designs for a Steven Universe game.
Well, I saw you posted some of that on, I think, ArtStation.
Yeah. And Rebecca Sugar saw them, but they didn't think they wanted to go with a pixel art direction for the game. And it makes sense because the show is like hand drawn and everything. Digitally inked, but hand drawn.
Right.
Which is really, really cool.
Okay, this is my favorite question to ask people in the game industry. What is your favorite game of all time and why?
People probably don't even know this game.
All the better.
I've been playing for like 4 decades now. I have a favorite game per decade, if that makes sense. But the ones I enjoy and go back to a lot are Rainbow Islands by Taito, 1987 or something. It was advertised as the story of Bubble Bubble 2, but it had nothing to do with Bubble Bubble other than maybe the characters. But it's a vertical platformer, single width screen, but scrolling vertically quite a lot, where you spawn rainbows and you climb on them and you have jump, and it's also incidentally your weapon. So if an enemy is under your rainbow and you jump on it, the rainbow falls and kills the enemy. But it's also your mode of like transportation and moving up. So you want to be careful when you jump or when you just walk on it. And yeah, that's the reason it's my favorite is I had it on Commodore 64. It had an amazing soundtrack, which was a rendition of "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" by from the Wizard of Oz. It was
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
on the SID chip of the Commodore 64. And what was yeah, I had it. I played it to death. I could never finish it because I was a kid and didn't have like the maturity to have good reflexes. I also played it on the joystick, the old-timey joysticks with
Oh, that's
the
got to be
button on
awful for
top.
platforming.
Yeah, it was shit for platforming. You couldn't use keyboard because the arrow keys on the Commodore 64 and 128 were like in a row next to each other, up, down, left, and right. They were not like in a cross shape. So you
Yeah,
could
I remember keyboards like that. Yeah.
yeah, it was like awful. And yeah, I think that's my favorite game because I owned it because of the soundtrack and because the art was I didn't know what anime was back then, but it was an anime aesthetic. The next game that caught my eye, like or my imagination was Civilization and SimCity. I used to print my cities using a dot matrix printer that my dad had for work. And it was like, and I printed the cities, and I printed them larger than, like real size, life size on the computer screen. So it was multiple sheets of paper, and I
Oh
lined
my
my
God.
wall, and I looked at my city and was like, I can see a pain point here because this factory is gonna end up causing too much pollution. So I used to scribble on my, and revise my cities and reprint them. And anyway,
That's amazing. Did your parents ever get mad at you for using up the printer paper or the ink?
no, because my dad worked at a clinic as a doctor, and they had a lot of consumables back then, like paper and ink and stuff were really, really cheap. So yeah, it was really fun experimenting.
Here's one of the final fun questions that's very open-ended. As a game developer or just as a person who loves media, entertainment, whatever, what are you excited about right now?
Not AAA games. Interestingly, like
I
I
get
heard
it.
like GTA is now considered a 5A game. And like Rami said, like GTA 6 is the first AAA game. And Rami said the games industry continues to grow towards ever longer sounds of screaming and wailing. It's an game.
Yeah, it's an industry is what's happening.
That's true. Like,
Well, wait, you didn't answer the question though. What are you excited about right now? Not what
yeah,
aren't
you're
you
right.
excited about?
I was trying to avoid the question. What am I excited about? I'm excited about not Silk Song. Not I don't know, not the things that people talk about a lot. I'm excited about game preservation. I'm
Hmm.
excited about games that were around when I was a kid that I either played or didn't have access to, but now they are playable. Like there's a there's a game where you're a dinosaur and you eat dinosaurs, and it's basically a 3D beat 'em up, but you eat other dinosaurs and humans to replenish health, and like they managed to resurrect it somehow because it ran on really specific PC hardware and stuff. That's I think game preservation is what I'm most excited about because good games with good game design, even game design that still holds up and is really modern and really fun, they've always been a thing. And yeah, I'm a retro gamer, I guess. I play a lot of old games, and that's what I'm most excited about because also like the internet archive and a bunch of institutions are doing a very good preservation work and archival work, and I'm really excited about that.
That's cool. I think that we're at this really weird point in culture where every form of media is basically saturated to the point that even, youth or teens, historically wanting to seek out the latest, greatest, newest thing, they're going back and spending a lot of time, absorbing older games, music, not necessarily movies as much, but like older stuff. And they're interested in it.
Yeah.
And I see this because I spend too much time on TikTok, but like, I think that it's cool that we have this thing for video games where they're looking back and saying like, oh, everyone says, Chrono Trigger is one of the greatest games ever. I'm going to play Chrono Trigger. And, I see live streams of people playing Chrono Trigger on TikTok for the first time and being like, oh, this is so cool. And then there's people talking to them about it on the chat. And, as somebody who like played those games when they first came out, when I was a kid, and they blew my mind then. And I'm so happy that, I always thought they held up, but they hold up so well that people can play them for the first time now as grumpy teenagers who are probably really hard on things and go like, this retro game is cool. I'm going to keep playing it. All right. I think this is a good last question. What is a non-game piece of media that inspires you or gets you excited?
Non-game, a piece of media. Like anime or books or
anything. What inspires you outside of video games?
Oof. Like for the past 2 years, I've been doing 3D printing. Is that a thing? I think.
Well, does that feed back in? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say cosplay.
Do you feel like those things feed back into the art that you do, or is it just something that sort of keeps you inspired in general and just
no, it's totally separate, and I like it that way. I have never monetized like costume building, or I'm way into carpentry. I've never sold like anything I made. I just make things for friends or myself. Like I've made the bed that I sleep on, and tables and like really useful furniture. But cosplay. I made an Alphonse Elric from Full Metal Alchemist, like the huge suit of armor, and it looks a lot larger than I am. I'm 1 meter and 72 centimeters. I don't know what it is in feet. Relatively short, but the armor looks like fucking huge because his head like is a small head, and I wear it as a hat. So anyway,
Nice.
if you search for castpixel Alphonse Elric Full Metal Alchemist cosplay, it was like world class or whatever. Like Adam Savage from Mythbusters came and commented on it at the forum.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Christina-Antoinette Neofotistou, also known as castpixel, thank you so much for being on Make Games Drink Coffee. Did you have any coffee today, or I know it's in the evening for you.
I don't drink any coffee. I do not drink coffee, but I love talking about video games, and I love talking with you, Aaron. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. I know it's night for you. It's morning for me, but have a great night and have a great weekend.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
And that's the show. Thank you for listening to Make Games Drink Coffee. You can find the show online at makegamesdrinkcoffee.com or email me at makegamesdrinkcoffee@gmail.com. Recording, editing, production, and original music by me, Aaron Nemoitin. Drink up. I'll see you next week.